Evening, our fireside chat is going to be led by Scott Kirsner of the Boston Globe. He's soon going to be joined on the stage here with a classified thief. How does that sound? Literally. A website that has stolen away the classified section of local papers like the Globe. So, yes, this could get interesting. Please join me in welcoming Scott Kirsner.
That as a newspaper person, you might think I wrote that introduction, but I assured him I did not.
I wrote it!
Liz wrote it. Did you ever work for a newspaper before?
No, but I do print.
There you go. She's an ally of the print media. I'm told we're going to try to pack a lot into a very little time here, just because I'm told that that dancing breaks out at 9 o'clock promptly, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to see either Craig nor I dance. So we're going to try to be done. We want to chat a little bit about Craig and Craigslist, and we want to take some questions from you. So get those ready. We have some microphones that will rove around. Maybe before we start, Craig, I thought we would take a survey. And would you let us know by applause if you've ever bought something off of Craigslist? And how about people who've sold something on Craigslist? Slightly smaller, maybe. And you've met your current spouse or significant other on Craigslist? One of the kids is applauding over there. I don't know what that. Parents, you weren't. Well, I think we have a lot of fun stuff to cover. The first thing I wanted to ask you, Craig, is as a kid in New Jersey, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
During my, let's say, relatively early years, very early years, I wanted to be a paleontologist. It's the, the dinosaur thing. Then I wanted to go into physics, which lasted until my freshman year of college, and I realized that I need a job someday, at which point I switched into computer sciences.
And so, as I was reading your resume, I think it said you spent about 17 years working for IBM. You worked for Charles Schwab for a while. You worked as sort of an independent contractor, software developer. How would you summarize that kind of pre-Craigslist phase of your life?
I spent many years in denial. I should have, let's say I should have moved to Boston or New York much earlier and gotten technical again. Many of those years at IBM, I was, let's say, semi-technical, working in the field.
And where were you working, if not a big city? I know Boca Raton was one of your stops.
Well, I also spent 10 years in Detroit, which has more going for it than people know. But Detroit, rather Pittsburgh, was a step up, and then I moved to San Francisco.
So, I lived in San Francisco for a little while, and in the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood of the city, you're sort of well known for, I think this is true, or maybe this is just a nasty rumor, but you're well known for always walking around with a pocket full of dog biscuits.
I live in a neighborhood which is part of what used to be Haight-Ashbury. I find that ironic. I was 13 or 14 during the Summer of Love and didn't feel much of it. But I do carry around dog treats with me, and I know a lot of the dogs in the neighborhood, and a lot of the kids in the neighborhood. There's a lot of little kids who like feeding the dog treats to the dogs, and that's a lot of fun.
So it's true. The rumor is true.
Yes.
Tell us about starting Craigslist. I mean, why did you start it initially?
Okay. To try to make it brief, 94, Charles Schwab. I evangelized the net there, saw a lot of people helping each other out, sometimes giving away expensive consulting time, and I figured I should give away a little back to the community. So in 95, I just started telling friends when I heard about arts and technology events. From there, I got a lot of suggestions, implemented a lot of them, and then started listening again. and just kept repeating that process. Now that process continues to this day under the leadership of my gigantic CEO, Jim Buckmaster.
You mean gigantic physically, right? Not by reputation or...
Well, he's 6'7" to my 5'7", and we look like a comedy team standing next to each other.
Well, when did Craigslist hit the point where you could quit your job at Charles Schwab or whatever else you were doing at the time? Like, when did it become a self-sustaining business?
Well, the pattern was a little different. What happened was that in '98, we tried running Craigslist on a volunteer basis. That proved out to be a really bad idea, partially, maybe in large part, because I didn't exert leadership at the time. That failed. People at the end of '97 cornered me and assisted me in getting out of denial. And so I made Craigslist into a real company at the beginning of '99. Didn't do a good job of it, frankly, but got it going. And to make a long story short, I realized that as a manager, I suck. But Jim is a really good manager, a natural, so he took over in 2000.
And when you turned into a company, let me just ask, I mean, was there risk at that point in terms of there not being enough revenue to support you and, just in your income?
It looked like just based on what we could do, based on charging for jobs in San Francisco, even way below market, we could make enough to pay the bills, maybe do a little better, because we've always run very lean. And at that point, I had written versions 1 and 2 of the code, and that was enough to get going. By the way, that was my last technical work. I want to remind people that I used to be smart, even though now people regard me as eye candy.
I want to ask one question about the design of Craigslist, because anyone who's been on the site and remembers going on like BBSs in the 1980s would say this is like BBS quality. I mean, I don't think, are there ever graphics on the site, or it's just text?
Our part is just text. The deal is that what people seem to want is something simple and fast, and that gets to the point. Because a lot of media in different forms sometimes doesn't get to the point fast, and we're all busy trying to get our lives done through the day, and so we want to get it done. Fortunately, way back then I realized I had no design skills, but as an engineer, or someone who used to be an engineer, I know how to keep things simple, and that's the tradition Jim has maintained.
So you mentioned Jim a couple of times, your gigantic CEO. Would you talk about how you hired him? I mean, the story he told me was like either you had posted an ad on Craigslist or he had posted his resume, or